Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Edition number 1132, written by bunnyluver. The Glitch with the Flash. I'm finally ready to share my own glitch story after hearing about the return necklace. It's small but really bothers me. I heard about some glitch stories, but really had just heard of the Mandela effect, which I was really interested in. After hearing a glitch story one day, I really had them on my mind. So anyways, I went about my day. I was helping my fiancé pack up for a new job in a new truck, as he's a semi-driver. This is his account. I'm a 49-year-old female, but that's not important. So I had found this small flashlight that had different settings, light, blinking, etc., and I thought this would be a good item to pack for emergencies. The batteries had gone dead over time, so I opened the back for the batteries, took out the old ones, and set the back in the middle on my table and made a mental note that I was setting it down there. It fit back on perfectly. The only problem was the dead batteries, so I set the back down, threw out the old batteries, and took the flashlight into my room where I had a box of batteries and grabbed some, put them in, and the flashlight still worked, so I went to get the back of the battery cover. I got it off the table, where I knew I had just left it, and tried to put it on, only now it had rounded edges instead of the straight shape it had before. At first I thought I was just trying to put it on wrong, so I kept trying, but it wouldn't fit, and I'm like, this changed shape. When my fiancé got home, I told him, half serious, half joking, that the timeline changed and the battery cover changed as a result. He told me I was probably just doing it wrong, so he tried it for a few minutes before giving up and saying he couldn't get it on either. You can tell that they're meant for each other, the same kind of shading and color, but it just won't fit. It's the right size and made of the same material and color, smoothness, etc., but the edge changed from square to slightly rounded. I put tape on the battery back and kept it back in my bedside drawer to see if it ever switches back. I don't know if it's just weird, because it changed just around the time I became aware of the stories of timeline changes, and it was like the universe put this in my face, as if to say yes, there is something weird going on. Notes for edition 1132. The Glitch with the Flash. The key that makes this truly a glitch is you took the back cover off initially. It's not like you found the flashlight with the back cover already off, but next to it. In that case, it'd be logical to assume it was for a different unseen flashlight that was just in the mess somewhere else. In these cases of mismatched items, in my view, it's always coded errors from the multiverse. So when an object is out of sight of any sentient player, they de-render to conserve memory and processing requests, then they re-render faster than we can perceive or even measure with any of our tools within the simulation. When our field of vision of consciousness returns it within their area, like a cone of vision, And 99.99999% of the time, it's flawless. But sometimes, very rarely, given the totality of how many times it happens, it does still happen. Just not often. I think there's errors. I think often there's multiversal issues involved, where items from different universes de-render there and are re-rendered in the wrong universe. This can cause duplications and lost items in the original universe and in the secondary universe. In this case, I think it's simply that the object re-rendered with improper parameters, so I don't necessarily think another universe was involved. The parameters it re-rendered as were incorrect. It's almost like a glitch in our DNA, causing it to replicate in a different format than you'd want, which can cause cancer or just moles or stuff like that are benign. Things you just don't want. Edition number 1133, written by Papker. When Fate Binds You to Love. I had a weird one in college. There was a girl I was seeing with whom I had a fairly brief but really intense romantic relationship with. Things ended in the spring, and I didn't want that, so I was pretty mopey and depressed about the entire thing for a while afterwards. The girl moved out of state to take a job, which helped a little bit, but we still stayed in contact. One particular weekend, she was coming back to town. I knew that and decided I didn't really want to see her. We had dozens of mutual friends, so I decided I was just going to lay low for the weekend and avoid everyone. I got up late and hung over on Saturday and flipped on the football game. At some point in the mid-afternoon, a fuse blew in the little TV I was using. I decided that I would head out to the mall to see if I could find a replacement fuse. As soon as I start driving, I think, ugh, I haven't showered, I feel gross, I do not want to see her. And I start feeling this dread about going to Radio Shack. It didn't make any sense, as there was no reason that I would have any reason to think that she would be at the mall. So finally it bothers me enough that I think, hey, maybe mayors would have fuses? Even though I knew that they wouldn't. So I head there, and of course come away empty-handed. So then I'm starting to get that feeling of dread again about seeing this girl, because now I think I have to go to Radio Shack at the mall. I feel gross, and I don't want to dredge up old feelings again. It is to a point where I am aware of the dread and aware that it doesn't make any sense to be worried about running into her there. So I decided instead to go to Best Buy, which I knew wouldn't have the fuses, just on the chance that they would, and I could avoid Radio Shack at the mall. Well, of course they didn't have the fuse. So now I have resigned myself to going to Radio Shack at the mall to get this fuse, and I feel awful, like heading to the gallows dread, and butterflies in my stomach as I drive over to the mall. But when I get to the mall, I think, of course, Sears will have fuses, and have this exhilarating feeling of relief. Sears is an anchor store at the mall, so I can enter through the Sears entrance and avoid the mall altogether. So Sears has fuses, but not the one I think I need. So I just started slowly walking through Sears out to the mall. I feel terrible. I just feel this sense of dread. I realize it makes no sense. I'm so confused and anxious. Radio Shack was 2 stores away from the mall entrance to Sears. My plan was to emerge from Sears and quickly sneak into the Radio Shack before anyone had a chance to see me. The second I set foot on the tile floor, I heard my name called from the other side of the indoor courtyard. I look up, and there she is. Notes for edition 1133, When Fate Binds You to Love. So what is most interesting about this turn of fate is your own resistance to it is what leads you to that moment. Think of how much time you used going to Myers and then Best Buy and then to the Sears and the mall. At least an hour. Had you gone straight to Radio Shack first, the girl would almost certainly not have even been there yet. So whoever or whatever gave you that feeling, they had future knowledge, future powers, future insight. Or could it be your own subconscious drawing from buffered reality? It was less of directed fate, more of your subconscious slow dripping emotions into your consciousness, because it knew without a shadow of a doubt that you'd run into the girl again. Actually fascinating. I hope you guys got together permanently. What an origin story that'd be. And now time for the quote of the day. The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time. Nietzsche. Yeah, and it's the curse of having a decent memory like I do. Because of that, it's just not as fun to rewatch shows and movies, and again, all I want in life that would make it infinitely enjoyable forever is a button that you can press where you can selectively delete memories, so then I can go back and rewatch shows, and it's always the same thing the first time. I'd be stuck in one of those time loops in SG-1 where everything is repeating. I just wouldn't know it, and I'd be perfectly happy with it. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.